Welcome to my channel that I use to work out a lot of my ideas. It's Thinking Out Loud. It's my kind of my log, my captain's log, number 666, March 3rd. March 3rd. Oh, yeah, not March 3rd. My gosh. I think it's March 4th actually. Yesterday is March 3rd. Yeah, today's March 4th, 2024. And I haven't really had time to do good editing, not even on this channel. Most of the stuff I put out on this channel, I just dump it. So maybe even though the analytics show that people watch my video maybe up to 10 seconds and then boop. Maybe it's because I put a disclaimer in the beginning. My disclaimer is that all my thoughts that I share on this channel are my own. No one else is responsible but myself. Does it help? I don't think it does help, because actually, if people are only watching 10 seconds of my video, it's pretty obvious. Now for the content. Oh, a car's coming down the alley. The other alley that I walk down, it's not even that busy. But okay, now for the content. There is a comic book. Or not really a comic book. I think the Japanese comic books are called manga, whatever. On my other channel. See, I already screwed up. Okay, hold on. There's a Japanese comic book. Japanese comic books are called manga. And some of them, there's different types of comics. I won't get into the details. But there's a comic called Seven Deadly Sins. And ironically, I think I was watching a video about the Seven Deadly Sins, the comic. I did get one of the comic books from Five Below. I didn't read that far into it. I just read like a little bit of it. But what really intrigued me was the fact that the Seven Deadly Sins enemy is the Ten Commandments. Which, that's very philosophical. And to my understanding, in the last few years of being into manga or anime or whatever, it's pretty obvious that the Japanese creators of the comic strips are the ones that are really into different philosophies. Even back in the late 90s, when maybe the first time I ever saw a anime, I think it was called Vampire Hunter D, and there was other ones too, but that one stuck out the most because he was a very cool looking character. He had a trench coat, big giant hat, and he was like a master of like fighting the monsters, like the Hollywood monsters. I think his main thing was fighting Dracula, which was pretty cool. And there's other animes during that time that they had a lot of religious symbolism, and it's not because Japanese really lean towards any certain religion. It's because they like certain philosophies, and the philosophies that they are into. Christianity has a lot to do with it. It's a philosophy, I guess, in the very generic way of looking at it. But it's not just a philosophy to me, it's a way of life. And the Ten Commandments is not really suggestions, it's the commandments. If you think about the Ten Commandments, you can see how it is the enemy of the Seven Deadly Sins. The first three commandments the first four mostly are humans' relationships to God. In the next 4 through 10, there's more of a relationship to man. And the Seven Deadly Sins really affect the way you, the way that you deal with people, the way that you interact mostly with humanity. Because, it's just common sense that you don't kill. Thou shalt not kill is like, it's obvious. You don't kill. It's like murder. You don't murder. Killing, there's always different nuances when it comes to stuff like that. Like when you kill to eat, when you kill someone that's going to kill you. I mean that's what the law is for. When you go to court, you're going to have to figure out these details, like, oh, who was right, who was wrong, all this stuff. So that's just part of like the whole idea of the Ten Commandments. But the way I wanted to dig deep into it is like Generation X. Generation X and the 7 deadly sins. And there's a lot of the 7 deadly sins that the Generation X is actually really guilty of breaking. And it's a deep psychology when you really look into it. And I can't really unpack it totally. I'm still kind of working out a lot of the details about how this whole thing works with the way Generation X seems to have a lot of pain. And it's something that is a different phenomenon from like the generation of, what's it called? The baby boomers. I think like our parents, the Generation X parents were like the baby boomers and stuff like that, like the post World War II people, the boys and girls that were born to those people. And when you think about those, like the generation that raised us, they never really went too far with their emotions. They've kept a lot of their emotions to themselves, which was something that we didn't learn how to deal with very well, because obviously in this society, I'm really a strong believer that we have an emotional health crisis. And I think when you kind of understand that your emotional health is maybe at a crisis in this society, you might better understand that it's not so much of a mental health crisis. Because you think about it deeply. I can't really unpack it for you too much right here. But when you think about like certain people acting out in the 7 deadly sins, it's like some sleep around, some pay for prostitutes, some process all these hurts and pain by covering it up. Like even eating problems, people eat to excess, and like maybe some people are eating the way that they do because of pain. Because I know that I mean eating is a problem for me. Because sometimes when I'm not hungry, I'll eat, and it's like, am I afraid of being hungry? I've been hungry before, and I've been able to function properly, and I've been able to, deal with life in the most healthiest way. At least I try. But I mean, think of the 7 deadly sins and see how they affect you. Like greed. I know there's a lot of greed in my life. There's a lot of there's good hoarding. There's good hoarding, like if there is like going to be a world crisis or something, you're going to have a little bit of extra stuff on hand. It's not so easily to unpack, but I think it's just relevant in these days that people just are dealing with lust and idols. I mean, there's not really a 7 deadly sin for idols, but that's part of the 10 Commandments. It's like, thou shalt not make any God before me. You should not make anything that comes before God. It's like you hear him in like people that aren't really Christians say, oh, put God first. That's the way. Of course it's the way. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that's the best way to approach life, is to put God first, like praying first, reading the Word first, and then on Sunday making it holy, because that's like one of the 10 Commandments. The 4th commandment is to make the Sabbath day holy. What do you do that day? Is that your day to sleep in or catch up on chores and stuff like that? I say you could really do both if you really put your mind to it. But I mean, when you think about Tim's variety show and too many hobbies, it's very convicting. Because is there other things in your life that are prioritizing? Do you prioritize? I know it's probably I'm not making my point very well. But if you dig deep and find out what makes you tick and what's making you be upset, or things that are making you lose your sleep, or it's something that I can't really experience it for you, but you have to experience different things in your life to be able to live properly, to live the best that you can, live your best life, whatever that looks like. Because I know that's kind of one of those cliche things, but